Why don't we talk about what you where you went from there? I know you got into oil and gas. Is that it?
Yeah, so I guess, now I'm thinking back, like I I chose chemical engineering in part because of some of the problems I saw growing up. So I was born in Port Harcourt. I lived in Warri, lived in Lagos a bit, and back in Warri and England as well. But when we lived in Nigeria, I have early memories of, waiting with my grandma for like 2, 3 hours to buy gas for the car.
Wow.
And when I lived in Warri, I remember like I used to drive past the refinery on my way to school every day. And my dad would explain to me, this refinery makes gas for the cars, well, petrol, right? But yet we have all these long lines. I thought, okay, this is a problem. And, people would die, frankly. Like, you know, there was a story of someone who had an asthma attack and at home, and they're trying to take them to the hospital. But because of the fuel scarcity, the person was unable to get there on time and the person died. So
Wow.
lack of fuel is costing people lives. And so I chose to study chemical engineering because I wanted to go back and fix this problem in Nigeria. And so I was, very lucky as an international student. I was able to get a job before graduation. And my first job was working with a firm in Houston, basically designing refineries. So I
Nice.
helped to design units in refineries and petrochemical plants. And it was a great job. I started on August 4th, 2008. And then less than 6 weeks later, the stock market collapsed.
Wow.
And by February, so this is like 6 months after I started my first job, the company laid off 10% of the employees.
Wow.
And I'm shaking in my boots, well, figurative boots, because like I'm on a visa. And
Right.
so if you get caught, I'm on, back on the plane back to Lagos. And and I'm just like, yo, like I'm still learning, like what value can I add? Like these are highly experienced engineers. How they can be, so I was a bit concerned.
Right.
And then not only after that first cut, it now became every third Wednesday of the month. If your phone rings, bye bye.
You're up. Damn. Wow.
Your card's been pulled. And so for me, it was I had this whole dream about, oh yes, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that, have this great career. And then within 6 months, a
You,
big
you
slap on the face.
right. Everyone's on the
Welcome
chopping block.
to welcome to corporate America.
Yeah.
And thankfully for me, like I was able to, I mean, make it through all the layoffs, but it was just heart wrenching and
Right.
gut wrenching to watch that and be in that environment for a whole year, where every third Wednesday of the month you don't know if it's going to be you, and you're
Right.
seeing people, your coworkers, people who you respect, people you work with, given 10, 15 years of their careers to this company, getting cut.
Right.
So yeah, so that was I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. So I didn't know, like engineering was fun, but I started getting bored as well. Because I realized a couple things. Like first thing is like, okay, once you've designed this thing, okay, I've done it. What next? The next one might be a bit different size, but I've done it before. So like, give me more. And then I started asking questions like, why are we building these refineries in China and India, in the Middle East? Why not Nigeria? Why? And so asking those questions got me on a path that led me to grad school. Um, and it's funny looking back now, like I found the program I wanted to go to years and but I was scared to apply because it was the middle of the recession. I'm like, you
Right.
look, dude, you're on a visa. Now you have work visa H-1B. People are crying and to God for this thing. You have this thing in your hand. Are you going to let go of this thing you have in your hand, go back to school in the middle of a recession? And I probably stayed longer than, sounds bad, but for me, I knew I wasn't going to do this long term. So why waste your time? I stayed there for 4 years. Then I
Wow.
went back to school, um, and I studied more chemical engineering, but this time with energy economics. I went to Cornell. Another great thing at Cornell is that It's anybody, any field of study. And so
Can you repeat that? You said you studied energy what?
I studied more masters in chemical engineering, but I did a concentration in energy economics.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I wanted to understand like what's driving these decisions. Engineers were making the big decisions, right? It's the business people, the lawyers who are financing things. I'm like, okay, I want to be with them.
Did you mention the school? Or I thought I heard
Yeah,
Brown.
Cornell.
Cornell. Wow, amazing school. So
Great
hold on.
school.
Let me interject there. All right, for everyone that's still questioning whether or not this guy's a genius, right? Like you're a chemical engineer. You're doing these projects. You said you were doing all these projects, but you're still getting bored. And you're still getting bored. And you're still getting bored because it's like, okay, I already did that. I already did that. I already did that. That's genius. Like a lot of times, like, like you see these kids in school early on that, they may be acting out in class, you know, but it's because they're bored. They've already done their homework. They can figure out the problem before you write it on the board. That type of thing. And that's you're still kind of like, showing some of those characteristics even now in the workplace, in corporate America, after you've gotten this first job. Hey, I was right. You are a child prodigy. You were a child prodigy at that point.
To be clear, like, I mean, yes, I was getting bored. Not to say it was completely easy. Like, I didn't know everything at all by any stretch of imagination. But I just felt like I wanted to be challenged in new ways. And
Right.
I felt that, and I also felt like, okay, hey, these guys aren't making the big decisions. No offense. But like,
Right.
And I started looking at people who are running like oil companies years ago, but they aren't doing engineering today. And so I'm like, okay.
So sorry, repeat that because you froze a little bit. You said you were looking at people that are running
I
oil.
was, I was looking at people who are in the industry. So there was a couple of people I found online. I used to stalk them on LinkedIn. And I'd look at their resume and I'd be like, wait, this person is not an engineer. Like this person is like an MBA, or they're a lawyer, or maybe they're a former consultant, a former banker. I'm like, and I thought, okay, like, and I realized in some ways, like the work I was doing was important, but I wasn't necessarily driving the big decisions.
Driving
Those
change.
were driving decisions. We were like fulfilling a service,
Right.
like an important service, and it's good to do, and no shame in that game
Let
at
me
all.